Marshall Occurrence. So this video is going to be simply titled No Money, No Peace. And it might not be this typical message that you're used to by a spiritual person, but if you notice, I talk a lot about the material world and what it consists of, and the things in money and things in the real world that we live in. No money, no peace. Straight to the point. No money, no peace. Now this is for me specifically. That's how I'm starting this word out. Is no money, no peace. So that nobody's confused about the little goofy McDonald games that people are playing. It ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna help nothing. It ain't gonna make me change my mind. I learned that it's okay to feel like this as a man of God. It's okay to talk like this as a man of God. I'm not influenced anymore by American Christianity, where I can't speak my mind. The Bible says, "Be angry and sin not." So I can be angry right now as long as I don't sin. See that part? See that? See how I set you free? It says, "Be angry and sin not," right? I'm not sinning, am I? Listen, without money, there is no peace. Without money, there is no peace for you as Americans. I do not extend any peace to you as a community if I do not get my money. Okay? So I want you to know all the cartoon games of camaraderie. I'm too old to care about camaraderie. I'm 45 years old. I don't care about camaraderie. That's not the top of my list as a 45 years old man. I don't care about camaraderie, friendship, or some type of connection with the Americans. I'm too old for that. Now, if I was 20 years younger, 25, I would care maybe about camaraderie a little more. Maybe 60% more I would care about camaraderie, but at 45 I care about it 60% less. I don't care about camaraderie. So when you scratch all of this monkey business that's going on, that basically you can chalk up as an attempt to get some type of camaraderie between me and the Americans, you can see that it's a lost cause. You can see that it's not going to add up to anything as far as how I think and how my mind feels about these situations. No money, no peace. That's for me. See, God, like the old school used to say, God works in mysterious ways. The person that you play with now holds the destiny of your country in his hands. And if I don't get money, there is no peace. And you can go get whoever you want. You can get people from my family. You can be corny and think that you could find somebody like me and my family and it won't work, and you won't. Because God made me who I am by myself, with my level of spirituality, with my level of spiritual power that he's given me. You're not going to find anyone else that has it in my family. You're not going to find anyone else who has it in Charlotte, because they'll get corny like that. Well, we'll find somebody in Charlotte like you. Oh, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Mind you, none of these Charlotte people got the guts to leave Charlotte and make something out of themselves and go to New York or go to LA. I was the only one. I'm one of the only ones in the context that you're looking at, right? I'm one of the only ones that's like that, at least from Charlotte. Okay? So, no money, no peace. As simple as that. You could think it's a protest. You could think it's Black Lives Matter. And, you could think I'm on some activist stuff. I'm on some prophetic stuff. And if I don't get money and you want to play that game, and everybody know what happened, right? If I don't get money, there is no peace to your country. And you can sit up here and talk about a million different issues, about a million different scenarios, and you can talk about your children. Let's talk about that. You can talk about your children. Your children is not gonna grant you no peace. Your children cannot grant you. Let's double park right there. I'm gonna talk to you through the window while you double park right there. While I'm double parked beside you. Your children cannot grant you peace as Americans. If you're using them as a rabbit foot or a good luck charm or pet, only novices and amateurs and superstitious people think like this. It's almost like superstitious. When I could show you any country and they got plenty of children, and those plenty of children are not holding back war, famine, and destruction. See, you're just the last one as Americans to finally understand that your children, the world ain't all about no children. This war is not going to be held back because of children. You're not going to find peace because you have a gang of children. And I can prove that with history. So for those who are goofy and just keep bringing up children and talking about your children and with children and children, and listen, your children are human beings, and that's all they are. They're not good luck charms that wards off destruction and that wards off war and that wards off evil. As a matter of fact, I challenge you to go look in the Bible where there was a significant amount of occasions where God held back war and destruction for children. I haven't seen that really in the Bible. I'm pretty sure there's some instances that God considered people's children in situations of impending war and judgment from God. But you can't show me a significant amount of occasions that really God held back destruction for children. Specifically, there wasn't nothing else to it but just children. God just held it back for children. There was all this other stuff was going on. Let's just say a country was in sin, a nation was in sin, a nation was evil, but God just held back destruction for children, even though that country was evil. You can't show me that. In fact, when a country was evil, everybody suffers, including children. Okay? I'm just letting y'all know, this is because you'll still come over here with that superstitious folklore mentality, like God is going to hold back war and destruction and judgment for children. And by the time a country becomes evil, like America is evil, right? Let's just look at the patterns of what happens to evil countries or nations every time in the Bible. Every time in the Bible, what happens? The whole country is destroyed and defeated, and it didn't matter if they had children or not. That's what happened. I can show you over and over again the same pattern in the Bible where children does not matter. When the country is evil, children ain't gonna stop destruction. You see what I'm saying? That's 7 out. What you need to hear as Americans, stop thinking like Winnie the Pooh. You got the brain of Winnie the Pooh, don't you? Put a real human brain in your mind and your worldviews. In your worldviews, put a real human mind in there and stop putting Winnie the Pooh in your worldviews. You got Winnie the Pooh in your worldviews. You got Winnie the Pooh in your brain and your worldviews, don't you? I'm sorry to tell you. Children are not going to stop what's going to happen. More times than not, you're going to find out that evil countries in the Bible, every time they were evil, everybody died, including children. That's what you'll find out. Now you're in the real world of God, God's real world, where when a country is evil, judgment is not going to be held back for children. If I don't say this, you'll walk around goofily thinking that all these children around is going to do something and stop judgment. It's not going to do nothing. It's not going to do anything. And for any ethnicity of people with a whole bunch of children, you know who you are. If your community of children is not going to stop this. It's not considered. God is going to consider the hearts of men. God is going to consider the hearts of women. He's not going to come down and look at the children. That's what you would do. God is not going to do that, because God in his infinite wisdom knows that a generation of children that we presently see right here is not going to determine whether these people serve God or continue to do evil or stop doing evil. Those children are not going to determine anything. See, you only look at it from that angle, to preserve children. God looks at all dynamics in all situations. And when you look at the situation, okay, preserving children, then what? The country continues in evil. Everybody continues in evil. That's what happens. And you think that's what God wants to do just to protect, just to let children live, and then they become evil when they grow up? Most of these American children right now are going, don't you realize the babies are going to be evil? By the time they get in their 20s, all these children that you so adore in this country, by the time they get in their 20s, I guarantee you, at least 40% of them are going to be evil. So God in his infinite wisdom already know that the kids that you adore are going to be evil. He knows that. You might say, well, I don't really know. God knows that. You see what happens? See, God realizes your children gonna be evil. So why would he preserve your evil country for your children that will be ultimately evil just like you? They gonna learn from you. They gonna learn from the culture how they ain't gonna be evil. You see where this is going, right? So it doesn't even matter to talk about your children no more, bro, because most of them gonna be evil anyway. So God in his infinite wisdom is just gonna go ahead and take care of this country. Because your children are gonna be evil, they're not gonna serve him anyway. Look at that. So why would he preserve your children and they gonna ultimately become evil with every generation of children? You're not as smart as you thought you was. Until smart walks into the room, you thought you were smart, didn't you? Listen. Most of these children are going to be evil based on the worldviews of their parents alone. How they going to get raised by their parents alone, they're going to be evil. And then you add the schools they go to. Then you add the worldviews of the Americans. Then you add their family, just not the immediate family, the whole family. And wars with the family, and et cetera, et cetera. They're going to become evil. So why preserve America for a generation that's upcoming in evil? They're upcoming evil, ain't they? Why should we preserve the community for them? And they're going to ultimately become evil. You don't know that, right? But God does. And he gives his prophet wisdom to see that. Speak for yourself. Don't speak for me. Especially as a prophet. Don't speak for me. Because God is going to give me insight and wisdom that you don't have. He going to show me how he sees it when you don't know how he sees it. You know how he see it? You all going to be evil anyway, including your children. Okay? So the cute little children you see right now are going to be evil in 10, 15 more years. They're going to be carnal. They're going to be sorcerers, witchcraft people. They're going to be promiscuous, having promiscuous sex all the time. They're not going to be monogamous anymore. So why would God preserve the community? You see what I'm saying? Why would God preserve the community for that pending disgust? Pending disgust of your children being promiscuous, witchcraft, sorcerers. Why would he, gay and lesbian and everything in between, why would he preserve the community for a whole bunch of transgenders? All these transgender children. You pay attention. You see it. It's right there in your face. You just didn't consider that it would be considered when considering the children. You didn't consider that it would be considered when considering preserving the world for your children when half of them coming out as transgender. What is there to save? From a godly perspective, from a righteous perspective, what is there to save? What is there to give salvation to? Okay? Now, you, on the other hand, are not God. You're going to sit back and think about, oh, just keeping them around because they're cute. Listen, at minimum, you're going to keep them around because they're cute. You're going to keep children around because they're cute, ain't you? God doesn't keep children around because they're cute, buddy. God doesn't keep children around because they're cute. Oh, I can prove that with the Bible. I can prove it with the Bible. I can prove that many nations, they are cute children. Pretty sure they had cute children. God didn't keep them around because they was adorable. Pretty sure the children was adorable. I'm trying to show you a reality, the real reality of God. Not the folklore worldviews you got, the superstitious worldviews you got that God's just gonna let the world go on for children. Did Gaza go on for children? In the Middle East, when thousands of children were being killed, did Gaza go on for children? Wake up and pay attention and look around. Was Gaza protected because they had children? That's a yes or no question. By the way, was Gaza protected in the Middle East, the Palestinian area? Was Gaza protected because they had children? So just having children is not a safeguard against destruction and war, is it? You see, I'm just a realist, that's all. It's not a safeguard, is it? So then that you got to admit, you got the worldviews of a Keebler elf, don't you? You're a Keebler elf, ain't you? You're a Keebler elf, ain't you? Y'all Keebler elves, ain't you? You're a Keebler elf, ain't you? Listen, man, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something very clear from a prophet's perspective. Children is not going to hold back no judgment from America. So just get used to the thought. Just get used to the thought that judgment is not going to be held back for no amount of children, for your children, for no type of children. Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, it don't matter. It's not going to be held back. Because ultimately, those same children are going to fall into carnality, promiscuity, drugs, sex, and everything in between, and killing and all of that. And why would God just prolong this country for them to become that? Now you see what I mean. That's the wisdom of God. That's the ultimate almighty discretion of God, where ultimately these children are going to become just like you. So why preserve the world for them? Even if they have the opportunity, we still smart enough to realize, even with free will and being able to not do it, they still gonna do it. And if you smart, you already know that. Most of these kids are gonna become just like these other people that's here. What else they gonna become? They're gonna be raised by the people that's around us. They're gonna be raised by the culture. They're gonna be raised by the music. They're gonna be raised by the TV. So what you think they're gonna become? A righteous man like me? And they part of the culture, they part of the community, they part of everything. They're going to be righteous like me. Through Christ Jesus. They're going to be righteous. No, they're not, buddy. Listen, in the percentage that would be, that's not going to be enough to stop the judgment of God. I'm keeping it 100 with you. The children that will be righteous is not going to be enough for God to stop judgment on the whole country. I'm sorry to tell you, buddy. So for Christians that's here, you might as well prepare. It's not enough righteous people here for this country not to suffer judgment. It's just not. So when you go to your country, when you go to your church and you wave your children around like a wave offering before God, and you think this country gonna go on because you got some righteous children, listen, buddy, Are you paying attention to all these other people? It's not going, listen, your children, even as Christians, are not going to stop judgment from coming. It's not going to stop. Okay? So what the best thing you can do in wisdom is spend time, quality time with your family. That's the best thing you can do. That's the absolute best thing a righteous man or a wise man can do is spend as much time. Don't take time for granted. Don't misuse time. Don't abuse time. Don't think you just got time. Do not take time for granted. That's the rules right now. All this, we gonna go on, we gonna do this, we gonna do that, man. Listen. You lying to yourself. Maybe that's how you want to go out. Maybe that's how you want to go out, just believing in a lie. Some people like that. I'll just believe this stuff, at least I'll die more comfortable. But for us that rather accept the grit of the real truth and just adjust according to our desires, our value systems, and our wants and hopes and what we can do about the situation. For those who want to adjust and do what they can do about the situation, I'm telling you, listen, this judgment is not going to stop. So you might as well adjust and do what you can about the situation. And what you can do about the situation is you can spend more time with your family. Quality time. Quality, meaning you set out things to do together, right? And you spend quality time with your family. You go out and do stuff together. That's the best thing you can do. Because even you being righteous is not going to stop this judgment. And there's some people that's so arrogant in Christianity, you think you and your children going to stop judgment from coming from God. That's 7 out. You think in your arrogance and who you are as a godly person, that's going to stop judgment from God. You got to humble yourself, man. Listen, you got to humble yourself. It's a lot of stuff that happened, and guess what? This judgment is not stopping. No money, no peace. That's as far as I go. No money, no peace. You can play stupid. As Americans, you can play goofy, you can play stupid, you can play retarded, you can play special needs if you want to. You want to play special needs, don't you? Like you special needs. You can play special needs, you can play stupid, you can play special needs. However you decide to play. Like you special needs or whatever, I don't get money, y'all don't have peace. I said me. Not black people. Trying to be cool with them. Nah. Because we already know they was part of the situation with me anyway. If I don't get money, there is no peace. I'm going to be reading from Jeremiah, the 11th chapter. This is wartime, man. This is wartime. People will think you're not in the right spirit. In war, have you ever been in war? So you're just using this superficial, emotional, fleeting feelings of position that I'm supposed to be in that's not realistic for a person that's in war. I'm in war. Jeremiah, the 11th chapter, the 14th verse. Jeremiah, don't pray for these people. Don't cry or pray for them. I won't listen when they call to me for help in times of trouble. That's Jeremiah, the 11th chapter, the 14th verse. Jeremiah, this is God talking to Jeremiah, calling his name. Jeremiah, don't pray for these people. This is God telling Jeremiah not to pray. So let me ask you this, for high-ranking spiritual people, do you think that there will ever come a time where God will tell you not to pray for certain people? Like he did Jeremiah. This is the Bible. This is the Bible. This is for real Christians. This is the Bible, right? My question to you, according to Jeremiah the 11th chapter, the 14th verse, will there ever come a time, do you believe, with all this evil and wickedness and gang stalking and all this witchcraft being used against God's people? I don't know if you know witchcraft being used against God's people. Do you ever think it'll be a time where God will say, don't pray for these people no more? Like he did Jeremiah. He did that with Jeremiah. So the smart person or the spiritual person that's high ranking will say, well, it's possible that the conditions could be just like in Jeremiah times, where God just don't want me to pray for these people no more. See, if I don't say this, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna be praying for people and nothing is gonna happen. You're gonna be praying for America and nothing is gonna happen for these people. This is why the Bible says, watch as well as pray. Because when you watch, you can adjust wherever you might have to adjust to. But when you're watching, you can adjust as you pray, right? To where if it's bad enough, because of what you see when you're watching, can't pray no more. This is what Jeremiah was told by God. Jeremiah, don't pray for these people. Don't cry or pray for them. God told him not to even cry. Why you think we heartless? Why you think we're hateful? God told Jeremiah, don't pray and don't cry. This is what God said at the end of this scripture. I won't listen when they call to me for help in times of trouble. God said he ain't gonna listen to them when they cry for him and cry to him in times of trouble, right? That's what God said. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. God said it. See, this word is what we agree on. If you're supposed to be a Christian, this word is what I don't have the luxury of saying, well, I don't go with that. See, in the old times, you would be banished from Christianity if you don't believe in this word. From point A to point B. Now people picking and choosing what they believe. So then what's the use of talking about any of the word? What's the use of talking about love or anything? I can say I don't believe in that part. I don't believe in the unforgiveness part, the forgiveness part. We all can start picking and choosing. We have to believe in this word from Genesis to Revelation, even if it don't fit your narrative or it don't fit what you want to do. You see what I'm talking about? Because more times than not, God's word is not going to fit exactly what you want to do. And it's going to come a time where God is going to say, no, I don't want you to pray for these people in America no more. No, I don't. No, I don't. Because you don't know what they're doing and I do. I know what they're doing. I know all the homosexuality they got going on. I know all the fetishes, the strange fetishes that you don't even know nothing about that they got going on. I know all the disgusting stuff that these women are doing with other women. You don't know nothing about it. So you can't be cliche like an old woman in her 90s. Well, I'm going to just pray for everybody. No, and no again. You got to watch as well as pray. Times change, and we quick to say that. We're quick to agree with that, but we don't adjust to the times. We don't adjust to those changes. We think things gonna stay the same, and it's not. Not this time. Not this time. America ain't getting out of this time, because see, it's not just about me. See, you'll think I'm making it all about me. No, it's about all these other Christians they gang stalked. All these, they not gonna tell you that. All these other Christians they play with, and God does not want us praying and fasting and seeking God, seeking him for this a country called America. Nope. I'm telling you as a prophet, I put my credibility on that. Ain't no way in the world God gonna have you praying and fasting and seeking him for America, and they gang stalking his people and playing. Ain't no country that important. Ain't no country that special. See, some people have made America so special that you think we just supposed to pray for these. They got some special mission that it don't. If they're not walking in righteousness, God don't care nothing about their special mission. Why don't we tell the Americans that if you ain't walking in holiness and righteousness, God don't care about your mission statement? If you don't listen, if you don't stand away from homosexuality, if you don't stand away from lesbianism, even if you did it, we ain't stuck on stupid. Okay, we used to do it, but we ain't stuck on stupid, are we? Okay, so we ain't doing it no more, right? Okay. So ain't no need to talk about something we ain't doing no more, right? Right. If you listen, that's for people who stuck on stupid. They still talking about what you did last year and 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Stuck on stupid, right? If you don't take a stand against homosexuality and lesbianism as a righteous man or a righteous woman, you're a coward. You're a coward. You got freedom of speech that this country is giving you, and why you ain't using it? I don't care what nobody think. I don't care what they feel. I'm gonna stand on this word. This word lets me know. Whether I was doing it, whether you was doing it, we cannot live as homosexuals and lesbians, right? And I don't mink my words. I don't bite my tongue, and I don't care nothing about no cancel culture. That's what a real prophet gonna tell you. I don't care nothing about no cancel culture. You could cancel me. You could try to cancel me all you want. And guess what? I'ma still stand on this word and what this word says, and I ain't biting my tongue, and I ain't letting no gay Christians come into the situation, and I ain't letting no lesbian Christians talk that can have a woman lick her butt and lick her vagina, and she can sit up and eat ice cream, and she thinks she's going to heaven, and while me and you abstaining from sin. While we're abstaining from sin, they're using ice cream in sexual fetishes. Playing with ice cream as lesbians, talking about they going to heaven as a lesbian Christians. But me and you abstaining from everything. That's the first bomb you should drop. Why we paying the price. We ain't doing everything we want to do. But yeah, everybody and their mama talking about they Christians. But you don't see no signs of long suffering. You don't see no signs of abstaining from the world. No signs of it. See, in the ancient times, we don't honor those type of people as Christians. That's just the bottom line. At some point, I understand being backslidden, and even for a long time, even for some years, but at some point, you got to get up. You got to get up. You got to get up. Because your worldviews and your mindset, you already know what it is. You already know it's a heaven and a hell, and it ain't no game, right? You got to get up. You got to stop and making excuses for these Americans. Stop making excuses for them. They're not going to make it. They are not going to make it. No money, no peace. And I am content with this country ending. While everybody want this country to go on, guess what? I'm very content with my present situation of seeing this country ending. We're content. You got to say, I'm content with that. This country is ending. I'm content with that. I'm okay with that. You too old not to not be okay with it. You done enjoyed your life. It's time for this stuff to end. You got old people acting like this world gonna go on forever. Listen, you done lived your life. Why? Listen, that should be these young people that ain't done nothing with their life. In their 20s, ain't been nowhere, ain't done nothing, ain't been married, ain't had no kids. Them the ones should be tripping right now, cause you ain't done nothing with your life and it's almost over. You that have had kids, you shouldn't be up here worried about the world ending. Ain't nothing going on. This is over. For real, for black people, Don't you think the party is over? That's 7 out. For real black people, they got soul. They got the funk. The old school. Don't you think the party is over? As far as America, as far as this whole country, don't you think the party is over? As far as how we used to be as a community, the love we used to have, the things that how it used to be, don't you think the party is over? I'm talking about the old school. I ain't talking about these pill popping 20-year-olds. I'm talking about old school, right? Baby boomers. Don't you think the party is over? Just like Prince said, the musician Prince, no party can last forever. And the party that black people have had and how we hanging on, even to this old music, there's no party around it no more. We're just going back in time and listening to music. But there is no atmosphere that was like that atmosphere when that music was recorded. That atmosphere that was around that music is what made that music make sense, right? Now that music really doesn't make sense because there's no love in the world. You can't even go out and enjoy yourself. You can't even go out and love and dance like they used to. See, when the club scene left the black community, you should have knew that was the beginning of the end. When they started shooting in the clubs and everything, shooting the clubs up, you should have knew right then that was the beginning of the end. And some of y'all knew that, but you got back comfortable. You got back listening to the oldies, and you thought there was hope for this country. No, you should have knew when the clubs started getting shot up, that was the beginning of the end. You should have stuck with that. Because the environments is no longer there. The party is no longer there. No pun intended, it's gone. There is no party. We can still have good times, right? But the collective atmosphere of party and going out in the world, and that's gone. Because the mindsets of the people are different. That's why. I can explain it. I can explain everything I stand for. The mindsets of the people are different. You can't even go out and have fun like you used to. It's so much craziness out there. Who would want to go and invite them and invite that kind of craziness into their night and invite that kind of craziness into their day? It's too much craziness going on. The party is over. That's why I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about partying. Like as far as a whole a collective energy. You can even see how it is in the family. Your families don't even come together like they used to. Families don't even have cookouts like they used to. Families don't even have parties. So how you think a party going on and your family don't even have no parties no more? Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. Your family ain't even having parties no more. How is the party going? Where the party at then? So how can you think of that it's a party time, but your family ain't partying? That's how I look at stuff. It starts first with your family, right? Why your family ain't partying? So then you expect to go out here and party with strangers, but your family ain't even together. And you see what I'm saying? Your family is not even together. Your family is not even partying. Now you see what I mean. Just understand what times we're in reality, right? In the real world. Because there's a lot of people on goofy time, cartoon time. I'm probably one of the first people that said they on cartoon time, bro. There's a lot of people on cartoon time. Because nothing they say is incorporated into reality. And they're okay with playing like with other, like, you know, atmospheres that's not reality. They're okay with that. I'm not. I don't talk about nothing that's not reality. That's how I'm adjust perfectly to these situations that's coming. And if you knew better, listen, all you will be talking about is reality. They talking about New York is already on the brink of collapse. Right now, since I left New York ain't no good. It's getting worse and worse and worse with every passing day. And you know what? That's okay. New York ain't been no good for about, what, 13 years? America ain't been no good for about 13 years. You got to keep up. The last good year of New York for me, from January to December, was 2013. That was the last good year in New York City. Luckily, I got to experience the kind of old New York, early millennium New York, before it was gone, you know. But it's nothing now. It's nothing. All those illegal migrants up there, all them people they put up there starting from 2021 to about 2025, early 2025, it's over. They started from April 2021 to when Trump was inaugurated. New York ain't the same. It ain't got the same energy. Because what you don't know about the legal migrants, energy can't hide, right? You can hide yourself, but you can't hide your energy. That's why it's so much funny energy around. And it's not just our enemies. It's the illegal people hiding all around. That's why the energy feels so strange. Man, you can't say where nobody at now. You gotta stay on your P's and Q's everywhere. You got people hiding everywhere and walking around there. It's not the America that it once used to be. White, let me tell white America something. You ain't gonna get this country back. Listen, how you gonna get this country back when you got legal Hispanic and Latinos having children at the speed of light? They got, on the average, they got about 3 children, 3 to 5 children. The average Hispanic and Latino American has about 3 or 5 children on the average, right? On the average situation. 3 or 5 or more, right? 3 or 5 or more. How white America gonna stay dominant over this country? They already took over. You don't see that? You don't see the writing on the wall? Hispanic and Latinos already took over the country. You can't go nowhere without seeing Hispanic and Latinos. They everywhere. They everywhere. We're not in their community, but they're in ours. So you can go to Hispanic and Latino neighborhoods and see no black people and see no white people. But I can come into your neighborhood that's black or white and I can see Hispanic and Latinos. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But we can go into their neighborhoods and ain't no black people working, ain't no white people working in their neighborhoods, in Hispanic and Latino neighborhoods, all across the country. You can go into their neighborhoods where they're dominant and you don't see us working in their neighborhoods. Not on ground level. But you go to a black neighborhood, what you see? You see them in our neighborhoods. You go to white neighborhoods, where they at? In customer service positions in your neighborhoods. Okay, you don't see that, right? Okay. They're in their neighborhoods and your neighborhoods. We're not in their neighborhoods. You ain't gonna see no black people get hired in a Hispanic or Latino neighborhood. Come on, think about that. Not in the average situation. You ain't gonna see no white people get hired. They gonna feel like their own people can outwork a black man or a white man without all the attitude that we have. You know how we are. We got attitude and everything, pride and everything. They feel like they can get one of their own people. They ain't got no pride, ain't got no arrogance, ain't got none of that going on. And they gonna outwork you. You think they gonna hire you? They not. I guarantee you go into a Hispanic or Latino neighborhood, you're not getting hired. I'm just keeping it 100. You're not getting hired, buddy. But they come into your neighborhoods and they get hired on the spot, don't they? You can start tomorrow at 3. They came into your neighborhood and they can start tomorrow at 3. 3 a.m. if you want to. You can come in 3 a.m. We can start training you. Well, you said 3 p.m. Well, you can come in 3 a.m. We can start training you. You can come in 3 a.m. and start training you. You can come in at 3 a.m. and we'll start training you. Listen, buddy, they wouldn't hire you at 3 a.m. to train you for nothing. If you were black and going into a Hispanic or Latino neighborhood, or white going into a Hispanic, listen, they tell you to come back in 2 weeks. They told you to come back in 2 weeks. That means don't come back, you hear? You need a translator? Don't come back, you hear? Don't come back in 2 weeks. You can come back in 2 weeks. They hope by that time you get another job. Come on, listen, man. I'm just keeping it real, bro. I'm just keeping it real. No money, no peace. That's what we talking about. No money, no peace. No money, no peace, man. It's that simple. No money, no peace. It's that simple. The world is too serious for a man my age, 45 years old, to be playing around with these vigilante ideals and worldviews and these superhero and villain wannabes, these con villains and vigilantes, these weirdos that have no effect on the reality of our community, and think that I'm one of them. And man, you out your mind, buddy. That's why I'm gonna make it very clear. No money, no peace. That's it. And that's what a grown man's supposed to say. I don't supposed to say nothing else. No money, no peace. That's it. And you can keep talking about what my family told you. You can keep talking like I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. I just don't care what they told you. I don't care what my family told you. I know somebody from my family had to tell you something. And if you think I'm retarded and don't know that, listen, I know that. But it don't matter when it was a whole collective effort. We are no longer caring about who started it. We're looking at who ended it and how far it went, right? How far this effort went. It became an American effort. That's what it became. So I ain't thinking nothing about no family and who told you. I don't care who it was. It no longer, I'm letting you know as a prophet, it no longer matters who told you something in my family, because you ghetto. Well, it was your family. I don't care who it was. I know I'm not stupid. I know somebody had to tell you from my family. But it don't matter. You know why it don't matter? I'm gonna tell you why it don't matter. Because all of y'all joined whatever they told you. All of y'all joined that cause. All of y'all rallied behind something you ain't know nothing about. You ain't know nothing about it, did you? So you was ghetto at best. That's what you was. And now you're trying to polish up a turd. You're trying to polish up runs, ain't you? You ain't trying to polish up a turd. You're trying to polish the runs up that you defecated out, ain't you? You can't polish runs. How you gonna polish it? Put some sparkles in it. Put some You gonna put some gold sparkles in the runs. You know how they say polish a turd? Well, how you gonna polish the runs? You gonna put some gold sparkles in it? Some gold glitter? You gonna put some gold glitter in it, ain't you? You gonna put some gold glitter in that stool of runs, ain't you? Hey man, listen, let me tell you something, man. Why you trying to put, listen, you trying to put glitter in stools of runs. Everybody know y'all was ghetto, and that's it. You came out here ghetto. Now you're trying to make it seem like you had a cause, a professional cause. That's the best way to hear it. That's 7 Al. Now they trying to act like they had a professional cause. Stop playing. I remember when it was ghetto as it came, bro. I told y'all, this is America's most ghetto moment. That's all it is. Black, white, and everything in between. This is their most ghetto moment. If you don't know no better, if you being gangsta. And now they trying to, and see, when you start winning, now they trying to act, listen, they gonna put pressure on you and try to put pressure on your mind to try to act like they was just in their cause, like their cause was just. Like they should have done that. They shouldn't have done it. And now people starting to want them dead. But the whole thing, they want the whole thing. They want everybody that had anything to do with them secret societies. You can't blame nobody from my family. You insulting my intelligence. Because you listen, like L. Varn said, the singer. Let me get a refill. That singer. L. Varner, or L. Varn, right? L. Varn said this: we are responsible for what we believe. That never left me. She said that like 10 years ago on some social media platform. We are responsible for what we believe. You don't think she was insinuating all this stuff going on? You are responsible for what you choose to believe, bruh. You can't come out here talking about somebody. That's how ghetto can you be? Well, it was your family that told us. So what? It could have been. So what? You're responsible for what you believe. I don't care if my grandmother told you. I don't care if my granddaddy told you. I don't care who told you. You think that's a valid excuse for all the stuff you've done? Oh, well, the family is the valid excuse. They told us that's the valid excuse. Do you feel that way? You know you don't. You know you went way further than you supposed to go, no matter who told you. So let's settle it right now. It ain't no need for you to talk about who told you what, because you went too far anyway, and you're responsible for what you believe anyway on your own. That's the worst thing you could do, actually, as a grown man, telling me what somebody else told you. How much more ghetto can you be? Well, we heard. You know the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth, if for white America, or even some Hispanic or Latinos that might not know what it is to be really ghetto, right? You know what the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth? We heard. That's the most ghetto thing you can say. Some black people don't know that. You know what's the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth? The absolute most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth. Besides slang, ebonics, all this other stuff. You know the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth? Besides talking about drugs, hustling, pimping, tricking, or whatever. You know the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth? We heard. We heard. That's the most ghetto thing you can say out your mouth. So imagine telling the black man what you heard. You know the first thing I'm gonna think? You're saying the most ghetto thing you could absolutely say out your mouth. You heard. I don't care what you heard. When you got any ghetto bones in your body, you know ghetto people always talking about what they heard. Anybody know? Listen, a novice know. Your children know that. Your ghetto children know that. What you heard. We don't care what you heard. That's how we know. Listen, that's how we know half of them, man, as ghetto as they think they are. Well, who's gonna? If you were so ghetto, you done heard a million things in the ghetto, ain't you? And then you found out half of it wasn't true. You found out half of it was said for different reasons and all of that, and different narratives and all of that. Half truth and whole lies and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so then, if you was ghetto, you would know that by the time I hear something, listen, I ain't gonna go and run out on something I heard, and I'm from the ghetto. We heard. How much more ghetto can you sound and be? Talking about what you heard. But you couldn't prove anything. Where's the receipts? Where's the McDonald's receipts? Well, right here is a 2-piece, and right here is on this receipt is a 2-piece and a 5. I got a biscuit on this receipt. Here's the biscuit on it. You ain't got no receipts, do you? See, in the real world, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, you gotta have receipts in this generation. In this generation, with all these ghetto people, you gotta have receipts. And if you don't, buddy, listen, you ain't getting no biscuit. 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 You thought you was getting a biscuit, didn't you? Without receipts, how you gonna get a biscuit? Because you ghetto, you thought you can come out here and play with people without receipts, and you know better than that. That's why you looking stupid right now. Everything I talk about, I got receipts. I can pull it up right now. I can show you child marriage laws in America right there, buddy. Listen, you can Google it and get the receipts and all that, man. Listen, I don't say nothing out my mouth. I can't prove credible receipts in the full narrative and context of what I'm talking about. The full narrative, the full context of what I'm insinuating, that y'all like children. Listen, the difference between me and y'all, I can pull it up and show people the proper narrative and context that these people love children sexually. I can prove that. You know, I can prove it. You're marrying children in America. That's how I proved it. That's the receipts. That's the receipts that make me say y'all like children sexually as Americans. See the difference? See, I'm more competent. I can listen. I didn't even try to do this. They came out playing with my integrity. Hey, listen. Well, what you think God gonna do? God gonna make me show. God gonna show me. Listen, they over there having sex with children. How dare they try to play with somebody's integrity? How dare they talk about pedophilia and y'all marrying children? Oh, you want to question people's thoughts? Well, y'all had thoughts to marry children. I ain't never had no thoughts to marry children. Why you questioning my thoughts? Guess what thoughts I ain't never have? Thoughts to marry children. America, why you out here fronting and y'all had thoughts to marry children? Listen, man, why you fronting to the community as Americans, man, like y'all pure and y'all out here marrying children? And you can't change it. You can't act like it's not it's just a little bit of people. You got 33 states. That's more than half the country. At one time you had 45 states that was marrying children. That was almost the whole country. Then you made new laws to marry children. Then you made new laws to marry children. You made new laws to marry children. July 1st, 2019, that's just 7 years ago. You made new laws to marry children 7 years ago. That's 7 hours. Come on, stop playing, bro. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. I'm too cultured. I've been everywhere. I've been in New York. I've been in California. Ain't no way in the world you gonna bamboozle me. I'm street smart as they come from all the places I've been. Ain't no way in the world you gonna bamboozle me, because I know how people think. You know how people think in this situation? How in the world you gonna talk about me and you marrying children as a community? Marrying children now. And at one time y'all was marrying children without parental consent. That's how you beat them. You listen, they ain't stop on you. They ain't slow down on you. They kept talking years after years against you. Why you gonna give them a break? I ain't giving them no break, no. They ain't give you no break. Man, they was gang stalking you for years and years. They been gang stalking you for years. Listen, listen, how you gonna let them stop you from talking about this stuff? Them marrying children. They can't wait for you to stop, can they? They can't wait for us to stop talking about it, can they? But they was talking about us being pedophiles for years. But we supposed to just stop, because you see how you can feel it. They want you to stop, don't they? They want you to stop talking about marrying children in America. They didn't stop you on talking about you. We ain't gonna stop, and we ain't gonna stop till they buckle under pressure. Out here marrying children, talking about pedophiles. But we supposed to stop. See, man, listen, if you don't get nothing else from this message, do not stop talking about them people marrying them children. Because you know they insinuating it with the gang stalking. I know if you are a veteran in gang stalking, I know ain't no way in the world you can't realize they using children, they weaponizing children in gang stalking and psychological guerrilla warfare. In guerrilla warfare, they weaponizing children. You tell me you don't realize that? Okay, you do, don't you? Okay, so then why would you not point out that they marrying children while they're insinuating that you have tendencies to be sexually attracted to children? That's what they're insinuating. Okay, so why wouldn't you just say what they're doing? They're marrying children, right? Okay. Couldn't be me in your situation. I'm talking about it every time I get a chance. Every time I get a chance. This is the chance to talk about it right now. I'm getting a chance. They are marrying children in 33 states of America, buddy. Ain't no way in the world they're gonna shut me down from talking about it. They shouldn't have started it. They shouldn't have started talking about these children and then found out they was marrying children. Now, who marries a child? Come on. How much less of a man can you be? Oh, you're a grown man marrying children. My question to America, can they be real men passing laws to marry children? That's a yes or no question. While holding the rest of us to another standard. Well, that's what makes them not a man. Can you be a man holding me to a different standard than you hold your country to? They're marrying children in your country, but you're too coward to say something to them. Y'all as Americans are too coward to say something to him, but you'll say something to the prophet, right? That's a coward. Come on, stop playing. Well, why you ain't saying nothing about them marrying the children? Why y'all ain't fighting against them marrying the children? You know why? Because you scared. You scared of the Americans, and I'm not. You're scared they're gonna stop supplying y'all with money and food and goods, and I'm not. You could be a coward for that reason. You're not saying the truth because you're scared the money gonna stop. You're scared the food gonna stop. You're scared the clothes gonna stop. You're scared the cars and the gas gonna stop. For you at least. They're marrying children. But we know if y'all want to smoke with one person, listen, how you ain't gonna want smoke with them marrying children? How you ain't gonna want smoke about them marrying children because you a coward, that's why. And listen, that's how we call it. Well, why you ain't saying nothing about them marrying children? Right now, they marry children all across this country. In New York State alone, from 2011 to 2019, they married 385,496 cases of child marriage. They married 385,496 children in New York. 385,496 cases of child marriage in the state of New York. Whether they got rid of it or not, those child marriage cases or marriages are still valid even though they got rid of it. So it's still children in the child marriage even though they got rid of it. New York, the state of New York. I know you ain't talking. Listen, man, listen. You can't be talking. Listen, you just now getting rid of it. You just now getting rid of it. You had 385,496 cases of child marriage in New York State alone. I got my ducks in a row, buddy. I got my quacks in a row. I got my quacks in a row. I got my ducks in a row. You got your ducks in a row. Where the state of New York had 385,496 cases of child marriage in the state of New York alone. They can't be talking to me. New York couldn't have been talking to me. You could not have been talking to me, buddy. We count you having 385,496 cases. That's almost 500,000 children in child marriage, and those child marriages are still valid right now. The damage is done. New York, for you, the damage is done. You've been marrying all them children through the golden age of New York, through the heyday of New York. You was marrying children the whole time. The damage is, you think we stupid or simple-minded? Oh, well, we got rid of it, but you had it all during the golden time of New York City. And can we settle it? The golden age of New York City is gone, right? So imagine you trying to say we got rid of it now after the golden age of New York City, when you had all that fun marrying these children and everything. Come on, man, stop playing. New York, you was marrying children the whole time, bruh. Stop playing. You can't talk about nothing now. You can't talk about no pedophilia now. From 2011 to 2019, you had 385,496 cases of it. That's almost 500,000 children. Either way it goes, those numbers are real. You can go look up the years or whatever, but those numbers are real for New York State. 385,496 cases, and whatever year it was, listen, I'm just keeping it 100. Whatever year it was 385,000. I found it was 385,496 cases, which almost half a million almost. 500,000 is 500,000, right? 385,000. That's only roughly 115,000 away. 115 million thousand away. Listen, 115,000 away from 500,000. 385,000. We rounding off now, even though it was 496 cases under 385,000. We're gonna round it off to 385,000. That's only 115,000 cases away from 500,000 children married in New York State alone. You was only 115,000 cases away from 500,000 children being married in New York State alone, buddy. You can't be serious. And you can find them numbers. You can find them numbers are real. Them receipts are real, buddy. That's all I'm saying. This is one of the most immoral countries in the world. How you gonna pull up on me with all this funkiness, all that? Listen, we know all this funkiness that's been going on in America. It's a funky country. Ain't no way in the world you should have been trying to pull up on me talking about anything morally, talking about morality. Morality in America, it was suicide from day one. It don't matter what you was talking about, and now you see that. It didn't matter what you was talking about. It's suicide to talk about a moral state of a man versus the moral state of America. I slaughtered these people. Marrying children, you can't be serious. Well, we're gonna get her married, and then she get a Happy Meal after she get married. She gets a Happy Meal after she get married. We're gonna get her 2 Happy Meals after she get married in the chapel. When she get married in the chapel, we're gonna take her to get her 2 Happy Meals. She gonna go home with 2 hot Happy Meals after she get married. She getting 2 Happy Meals after she get married, ain't she? Don't you see, you make me, you as a country, you genuinely make me laugh. Sitting up marrying children, talking about some pedophiles. You gonna get her 2 Happy Meals after she get married. Well, after we leave the chapel, she getting a Happy Meal. She can get 3 of them if she want to. They got coupons for the children that get married. They can get some Happy Meals after they leave the marriage department downtown. They can get the coupons for the Happy Meals, can't they? After they leave the courthouse marriage, they can go get some coupons. They give them coupons, don't they? They give them some coupons down at McDonald's. Well, you can get 2, 3 Happy Meals after you got married. Get your little orange soda. Get you some chicken nugget. Get you some chicken nugget. Get you some chicken nugget, huh? Get you some chicken nugget. Go get the children some chicken nuggets, ain't you? You go get the children some chicken nuggets, ain't you? We get them an 8-piece chicken nugget. Listen, man. Ain't no way in the world you gonna chastise me and y'all marrying children as Americans. That's my black logic as a black man. Ain't no way in the world a black man gonna let you play with him. I don't know about these other folks. I don't know about nobody else. But ain't no way in the world you gonna play with me and you actively marrying children. As a community, you gotta be out your mind. See, you just didn't know no better. That's what it was. That's all it was. And it don't make me no smarter than you. I just educated myself. It doesn't make me any smarter than America. I just educated myself. That's all I did. Well, he's so smart. No, well, it's not based off this. See, the smart person gonna tell you when you respond to something that only I'm talking about by education. The smart person is gonna respond by telling you, no, that's not intelligence. That's not IQ. That's education. Well, what makes me smart just by knowing you marrying children? I'm not smart because I know you marrying children. I'm smart because I have a high IQ where you can't insult me while you're marrying children, talking about pedophilia. That's what makes me smart. Not being educated on merely what you're doing in your bedroom with children. You couldn't marry children to get away with it, man. Come on. Not in the psyche of the people, not in the mindset of the people. You go tell these crazy Americans that America is marrying children. That's how you know half of them don't know. Go tell these crazy, bugged out white Americans. You know the type I'm talking about. I ain't talking about all of them, but you know the bugged out type. The ones that blow up abortion clinics. Go tell the same type of people that blow up abortion clinics. Go tell the same people that blow up abortion clinics, right? Abortion clinics, right? Go tell the people that blow up abortion clinics that y'all marrying children. Oh, you think they're gonna be cool with that? Oh, well, you know, as long as the children live, get them Happy Meals. As long as the children live and get them Happy Meals after the child marriage, huh? You think that's what they're gonna say? The same people that blow up abortion clinics will be very surprised to know that y'all marrying children as Americans. That's how I know they don't know. Oh, it would have been something crazy that done happen. And listen, ain't no way in the world you're gonna tell me all these Americans know about this. Listen, I know they don't. I've educated too many people that didn't know. I've educated so many people that didn't know nothing about it at all. So you got to speak for yourself. You know about it. They don't. And guess what? Guess what's going to matter more? Them not knowing about it, not you. You can know about it. They don't. And they shouldn't have came out here playing with me. And listen, we going to see a whole different response once they find out that they marrying children. Once they realize, Americans realize they marrying children, it's all over. It's all over. So we don't care about the future of this country. I don't care about what y'all plan on doing in the world in America. I don't care about America no more. I'm making it very clear to you. I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding my perspective. I'm not doing nothing underhandedly. I'm openly telling you I don't care about this country. Would you care about a country that's marrying children? You still care about? Oh, so that's a yes or no question. Do you care about a country that's marrying children? Yes or no? You care about a country marrying children. You think you can be a real man and marry children? You think you can be a real woman and marry children? You think you can be a real man and pass laws to marry children? You think you can be a real woman and and pass laws to marry children? Well, men and women had to help to pass the laws. How can a real woman that's supposed to be a mother to the community pass laws to marry children? A real woman can do that. A real mother can do that. A real man can do that. A real father can pass laws to marry children. You see what I'm talking about, right? Now you see the lane the prophet is on. That part. And guess what? It's a whole lane of it. It's not just the child marriage. It's a whole lane I'm on that y'all not on. As far as worldviews and perspective and everything. It's a whole lane that's credible. And that's what everybody talking about. It's a whole credible lane that's above everybody else's lane. And how I see everything. How they gonna be a grown man talking about they love children and protect children? How America talking about they protect children but they marrying children? Make it make sense. How can you protect children but marry children? Oh, CPS, Child Protective Services. Why Child Protective Services ain't say nothing about the child marriage laws? North Carolina, why y'all ain't say nothing about y'all marrying children? Y'all got child marriage laws right here in North Carolina. That's 7 Al. North Carolina, why y'all got laws to marry children right here? Huh? Why y'all ain't protest as a community? Why y'all haven't protested at all as a community? Can't make it up. So how me and you in the same lane? That's all I'm saying. They marrying children in North Carolina, but North Carolina is supposed to be in my lane. They supposed to be doing something. They supposed to be trying to see if I'm a pedophile. It's laughable. It is laughable. When you got laws to marry children, it is very laughable that North Carolina would try to come out against me. I'm laughing at y'all. How you gonna try to come and challenge me and y'all marrying children? You can't be serious. Marrying them now. You marrying children? I ain't never thought about that at all. I tell you that. I ain't never thought about marrying a child as a grown man. I ain't never thought about that. But you have. I can prove that you have. I don't have to go and use psychics and telepaths and all this other stuff. I can show everybody a reality that y'all think about children in a sexual way as a community, as North Carolina. Y'all think about children in a sexual way. Yes, y'all do. You know how I know? Because you got laws to marry children here in North Carolina. So I'm gonna get you off that high horse. Are you off the high horse yet? Are you off the high horse yet? Well, you think my life is in your hands, and come on, you can't be serious. You marrying children, how my life in your hands? That's real. How my life in the hands of your community, and your community marrying children? That's 7 out. Now you see why I got respect from New York to California. Now you see why I got respect. Ain't nobody you can't come back from that. You can't come back from it. Your country got a whole atmosphere to marry children, but you out here against one guy. But y'all marrying children in North Carolina. Oh man. Can't you see how good I felt when I found this information? When I found this information, man, I felt so good. I felt real good. God gave me this information. The Lord, Yahweh, Yeshua HaMashiach. The real name for Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach. He gave me this information. The Holy Ghost led me to this information. You think he gonna have his servant lacking, and they drag me through the mud, and they ain't even got no charges on me anyway? That's what I'm saying. My freedom is my innocence. Well, if he's guilty, why he free? Why the police ain't on him? Listen. My innocence is my freedom. Is my innocence. Why you playing cartoon games? And let me help y'all understand something. Y'all, if let me help you understand something. For all these telepaths and these psychics, let me tell you something. You need to read Leviticus, the 20th chapter. Because Jesus could see the thoughts of people, but that's God. God can see the thoughts of people. So his lane of seeing people's thoughts is not the human psychic lane. That's the human psychic lane. What y'all talking about, what y'all referring to. Jesus wasn't on the human psychic lane. He was on the God lane, where he could see everything. He could walk through walls and everything. But that's not the psychic lane. How we know for sure is because of Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 27th verse. Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 27th verse. Every man or woman who is a medium or a psychic must be put to death. They must be stoned to death because they deserve to die. That's Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 27th verse. The Bible makes it very clear that anybody that use medium energy or psychic energy must be put to death. I'm just showing you God's mentality on it, just in case you think it's free for all and all for free. God doesn't see it that way. Read Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 27th verse, where God talks about putting mediums and psychics to death. So what Jesus was doing was in the God lane. That wasn't the human lane of human psychic lane. He wasn't in the human psychic lane. He seen thoughts from a whole different lane than the psychic lane. And he can't be put in the category of a psychic lane. No. And how we know how Jesus Christ the Messiah gonna be a psychic, but then in Leviticus, the 20th chapter, God talk about killing psychics. Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 27th verse. Every man or woman who is a medium or a psychic must be put to death. So make it make sense what Jesus Christ was considered a psychic. Or he was. He wasn't. He was in the God lane. He could see everything. God can see everything. But we esteem that as psychic power. That wasn't psychic power. I've seen that before. Somebody said something like that online somewhere. Every man or woman who is a medium or a psychic must be put to death. They must be stoned to death because they deserve to die. That's what the Bible says. And if you look at it in our modern day and time, look at how psychics carry themselves. Look at how they violate people's mind. Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 6th verse says, I will condemn people who turn to mediums and psychics and chase after them as though they were prostitutes. I will exclude them from the people. That's Leviticus. That's jumping up to the beginning of the chapter of the 20th verse of Leviticus to the 6th verse. It says, I will condemn people who turn to mediums and psychics and chase after them as though they were prostitutes. I will exclude them from the people. So that's not God's people. Anybody who come and turn to mediums and psychics is not God's people. See, some people think that you could be a Christian and you could just do whatever you want to do spiritually. And then there's guidelines that the Bible talk about over and over again. There's certain guidelines. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to spirituality. And now you see why. Now you see, as all the stuff that the telepaths did, now you see why God don't agree with it. Keep it real. With all the stuff that these mind readers and psychics have done, you don't see why God don't agree with it. For all you who are being gang stalked and your mind is under surveillance and you got people around you reading your mind, you don't see why God is against it. Because particularly with telepathy and psychic energy, they try to make it seem like it's innocent. It's not like witchcraft. How you feel about that now, being gang stalked and your mind being put under surveillance? Do you feel like it's just innocent? It's not. You feel like they should die just like the witchcraft people should. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you feel that way. Because they're raping your mind. It's mind rape. Because if you can't catch somebody doing something in reality, I'm sorry. It's not gonna. You're not gonna figure it out in the real world. If you gotta figure out what people are doing mentally by mental means, I'm sorry to tell you, it ain't gonna get done. Because my idea is this: if you're gonna read my mind, then you might as well read everybody's mind next door. You don't know what they're thinking about their own kids. They might have little thoughts that you would find as pedophilia about their own kids. How you know? How you know they don't? Well, they seem like good people. So what? Is your mind perfect? Let me ask you that. Do you got a perfect brain? So then if you're real, you know, you're not a pedophile, but your mind ain't perfect, is it? And I'm gonna leave it at that. You ain't got a perfect mind, do you? Okay, so then how did I know that? Because I mastered myself. See, once you master yourself, you master everybody else. That's another reason we despise these type of people, because they go beyond the human experience. They don't act human like us. They don't relate to us as humans. Think about it. They sitting back judging your mind like they minds is perfect. I know they minds ain't perfect, but they dismiss what they think about. They dismiss the thoughts that come across their mind, but they gonna hold you to every little thought that you think. That's why we despise them, because they don't relate to us as humans. A human relates to another human as your mind ain't perfect, my mind ain't perfect. But we gonna judge people by what they do in reality. We gonna judge people by what they do and what we see them do. We ain't gonna go play around somebody's mind. Ain't nobody's mind perfect. You got perfect thoughts. That's a lie. Ain't no part of you perfect, which means your mind is not perfect. But that's between you and God, right? That's not between me and you. For me to try to figure out what you thinking about, that's between you and God, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't here to pick apart nobody's mind. That's what a real man would say, or a real woman. I ain't here to pick apart nobody's mind if I don't see them doing nothing in reality. If I don't see them doing nothing in reality, who am I to pick apart their mind and pick apart their thoughts? What makes me so great? Oh, because I call myself Illuminati or Freemason. Besides this little dumb name that put a battery in your back, what make you qualified to even study the minds of another person? You being a human being yourself. You being a human being yourself. What gives you the authority in love, in what makes you feel so special that you can go read somebody's mind? And see, that's why we're against telepathy and psychic energy. It's mind rape, and it's the audacity to act like their minds are perfect when we know it's not. I guarantee you, they probably struggle more than anybody else. Much as they study and much as they know, right? The more you know, the more pain you get, the more sorrow you get, right? So the more they know, they see they self. I know they do. Of course you do. You realize when you become intelligent, the first part of becoming intelligent is you realize you're not perfect. But you put your best foot forward, you know what I mean? You put your best foot forward, you try to do your best. That's all you can do. That's all you're required to do in the real world we live in. When people cross boundaries beyond you putting your best foot forward in the real world, right? To where they playing psychological games, worried about what you're thinking about psychologically. You got to, listen, you got to separate yourself from that kind of energy. Because they're not perfect themselves. Ain't no way in the world you're going to tell me you have perfect thoughts every day. But you're going to dismiss your own imperfect thoughts, but hold us to our imperfect thoughts. And that's why we despise these people. That's why we despise them. You know what I'm saying? A good human is going to, I ain't going to judge nobody's thoughts. I don't really care what's, me personally, as my personality is as a person, I don't really care what's on your mind. I don't. Unless I'm in a relationship with a woman, I mean, I would care what's on her mind as far as like love and how she feel about me and stuff like that. That's normal. But just somebody that's outside of an intimate relationship with me, I don't really care what's on their minds, and that's how it's supposed to be. You don't supposed to care about nobody's mind but your spouse, somebody you in a relationship with, and what they thinking about concerning you in the future, and et cetera, et cetera. But even there is a human boundary that you can't cross, even with your wife. You can't be studying your wife's every thought, your husband's every thought. Come on. When your mind ain't perfect either. But you ain't going out here trying to be with nobody else. But you got a perfect mind? No. Stuff gonna cross your mind, but you don't choose to think about it. You don't choose to choose that thought as your worldview and desire and perspective. And that's what God looks at. You don't choose these fleeting thoughts that come across your mind. You don't choose to use them as your worldviews or your desire system or your certain way of thinking and your perspective. Because see, when the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he, that means, for people who informally misinterpret that, that means as you think, you will basically, and I'm paraphrasing, you will create that reality. As a man thinks, so is he. So is reality. That term is, think about it. So is, how you going to be something and you're not? You have to be in reality of that. Make sense? So, as a man thinketh, so is he, which means as you think, you will become. But how you gonna become it if it ain't no reality to it? So you got people. I'm gonna do a whole study on that. I'm gonna do a whole campaign on American Christians who informally interpret the Bible, because they'll say that if they think you having wrong thoughts, as a man thinketh, so is he. But he never becomes that. So how is he? How is he that? How is he that if he doesn't become that? So the only way that works, if you had dirty thoughts towards children, as a man thinketh, he becomes a pedophile. In reality, that's the only way that scripture would make sense. It wouldn't make sense if you had imperfect thoughts, but there was no reality. That's not the context of that. The context of that scripture, the only way it could be used is if you had dirty thoughts towards children and you became sexually engaged with children. So as a man thinketh, so is he. He becomes that. That's how it is. That's the only thing that, come on, how does that make sense? You think every thought come across your mind. If you're a smart person, do you become every thought that comes across your mind? So as a man thinketh, so is he. If that was applied to everything that crossed your mind, what would you be? Who would you be if that was applied to everything that crossed your mind? That's how you know that's not the interpretation of that. What the interpretation is, as one thinks, the thought patterns, and I'm paraphrasing, the continuous thought patterns that you choose to think about in preference and worldview, you will become that. And that's common sense. I just use a common sense approach to the Bible, man. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's according to putting the human experience in it and everything like that. You have to incorporate the humanity in it, and sometimes people don't do that where it even makes sense. Where you don't even incorporate the real reality as a human living that out, or the reality of that in the place of a human being's life. As you think, you will not become anything if you don't do it. How you gonna become it if you don't do it? If I think about being a football player, but I don't never play football, as a man thinketh, so is he. I'm not a football player. But if I have thought patterns and preferences and worldviews and everything to go try out for football, then I will become that. I have to have corresponding action to how I think. If I have no corresponding action to how I think, how I'm gonna become that? So in the context of being a football player, as a man thinketh, so is he. Okay, if I think about being a football player, but I don't have no corresponding action, how I'm gonna be a football player? As a man thinketh, as a football player, so is he. So if I think like a football player, I'm gonna just be one. As a man thinketh, as a football player, we're giving an example. So is he a football player? No. He has to have thoughts and corresponding action, worldviews and preferences that puts him in the direction to have a reality of becoming that. And that's the only way that's gonna make sense. So I just learned not to be ghetto in my interpretation of the Bible, because there's a lot of people that's ghetto in how they interpret the Bible, and I'm just keeping it real. It's a lot of ghetto interpretations. You got to be very careful with the interpretations that you let people feed you. They feed you ghetto interpretations. Like I always said, it's nowhere in the Bible to become a denomination in the Bible. Baptist, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, Methodist, ain't none of that in the Bible. But yet we talk about false teachers, and we talk about false prophets and whatever, right? But why we don't never talk about these denominations that God didn't tell men to make? God didn't tell men to make up no denomination. So why is it on the church? And then they be following a certain whole lane of Baptists. Baptists have conventions, and Methodist conventions, Pentecostal conventions. You know what I'm talking about? They got a whole lane. God didn't tell them to go into that lane. They did it themselves. Now, do I believe they going to heaven? Yeah. Many of them, if they don't misteach the word of God, and they're not sinning, yeah, they'll go to heaven. But it's still error. It's still error that American Christians allow more than any other country that I've seen. We allow this era in Christianity where people can talk about Baptist and Presbyterian and everything, and it's not in the Bible. So where did you get it from? Is my question. You see what I'm saying? Where did they get being a Baptist? What made you think about that? Presbyterian, and you got certain beliefs in that. In each denomination, everybody know they got certain beliefs. What made y'all name a church, make a denomination, and have certain beliefs? What made you do that? I'm gonna tell you what made you do it. It's the craftiness of the enemy to divide and conquer the body of Christ, to give you certain teachings but leave out other teachings. That's what made you do it. And you ain't gonna want to admit it. You ain't gonna want to admit it that God didn't have nothing to do with that. So who has something to do with it? That only leaves the satanic kingdom. Now, am I saying you're a murderer for that? Or am I saying you're a stark crazy maniac for that? No, I'm not saying you're evil on that level. But the enemy came in and deceived you to start calling churches Baptist church and start going into a whole lane of just Baptist or Pentecostal. The devil is crafty, man. You got to pay attention. So, but you don't see me worried about it. You don't see me losing no sleep about it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying for people that talk about false teachers and everything like that. And and people are sensitive to that, but they're not sensitive to all these denominations that God didn't have nothing to do with. They ain't sensitive to that. That's my point. They're sensitive to me and you and what we say and what we do and what we teach and preach, but they're not sensitive to these denominations that God didn't tell them to make up. God didn't tell them to do that. But we don't consider them false teachers, do we? Even I don't consider Baptists false teachers. But here we are. Here we are where we got all these denominations. And we're not on one accord. So, that's why I just follow the whole word of God. That's what I do. That's what I follow, man. You can't go wrong with that. This whole word of God, that's what I go with, man. So for God's true people, salute. Over and out.